Verbally Effective with Ina Esco is an interview-style podcast that intersects art, culture, politics, and entertainment with a Memphis focus. Each week, I'm joined by a featured guest with roots in Memphis. Verbally Effective delves into each guest's personal journey to uncover the incredible stories fueling their purpose, the highs and lows of their pursuits, and how through their passion, they are moving the culture forward. Greetings, and welcome to another edition of Verbally Effective Podcast. I'm your host, your double E, Ina Esco. Hey guys, we're getting ready for the Podbox Memphis Podcast Festival the last weekend in September. I'm not going to announce who our keynote speaker will be just yet, but get ready because it's very controversial. But in the building today, I have with me a beautiful young lady. Her name is Racheal Shantel, and she is the founder of nonprofit Mane Up Memphis. I love the name. Thank you. Okay, and she is also Miss Black Tennessee. Let's give it up. She's a queen to be. Not even to be.
Yes.
She is a queen.
Yes.
Yes. How are you, Racheal?
Blessed, confident, happy.
Yes, I'm glad you're here to join me today. We've been chit-chatting on IG for a minute now.
Yes.
And you're here on the podcast, and I'm excited. You are absolutely stunning in person.
Oh, thank you so much for that.
Yes, and I love the content that you put out.
Thank you.
On social media.
Thank you.
Is that hard to do?
Absolutely.
A constant grind?
Yes.
What do people not understand about having to cycle in, cycle out content online?
That's a great question. I don't think they understand that it has to be organized. You have to know and plan out what you're trying to do and stay inside your niche. It's really true. For a while there, I was playing around with so many different types of content or categories, trying to figure out what's true to it, but I had to figure out what's true to me, because if you don't have it, like the dedication or the passion to it, you're going to get burned out.
Yeah.
So I just figured out a way to, and I'm so proud of that how you see my social media, that's me. Like, I'm sitting in front of you with no makeup on. If you go look at my social media, I have no makeup on. I'm very proud of that because I don't wear makeup like that, you know. So I just try to make sure that my social media presence is truly who you see in real life.
How long did it take you to figure it out? And what are some steps you took to figure out, you know, who your audience really is, you know, because that's who you're appealing to as well?
So right now it is transitioning. About in 2020, you know, you sit at home for so long, you know, that year.
And, oh, yeah, that was the COVID
kickoff.
My
gosh. And so I end up learning how to build my muscle of staying consistent with working out. And so since I was that way, I was sharing my journey online and just showing people, like, you know, even if you're sitting at home and nothing to do, you can still get outside. I got my family and started. My uncle called it Walker Boot Camp. Like, I used to take my parents and my uncle, and Will used to go walking. And so from there, I ended up getting a lot of followers from there. And then I ended up being a part of one of the biggest platforms in Memphis at the time. And so from that tenure, that's when things really started changing for me, is I was starting to make original content for that platform, and my content was doing very well over there, and I started paying attention to the algorithms and the audience, because I wanted to I saw the opportunity of highlighting Memphis in a positive manner, because I'm just so tired of us, the people in the city. We know that there's good people here. We know how much hard work it is and how the culture is constantly biting off of us, but social media and the news, they don't highlight that because it's just clout. It's like, I don't want to say clout, you know, drama sales. We know that, you know, but I'm tired of seeing stuff like that. I'm tired of just seeing the fighting and all of that. And so I was like, this is an opportunity for me to make a voice for myself in this city.
Yes.
And so I started doing it that way, and I started paying attention to the algorithm. Excuse me. And so from there, I was like, okay, how can I get this to show up on my own personal page? And so I started going through and like, well, what do I like to do? And I choose to stay positive. Like, I choose to always rise above the noise, and it's extremely hard, but I'm trying to be intentional with my words now. So it's getting easier. Someone told me you have angels around you all the time. And if you keep saying something's hard, it's going to always be hard. So it's getting easier. I'm developing that muscle and that mindset. I'm rewiring my brain. And to just answer your question, it's just a journey. Like it was not a straight route to success. I don't feel like I've gotten to a point of success just yet. I've been doing this for quite some time, at least 10 years at this point in my life. And, you know, you kind of watch, and I love the people who follow me, and I talk to them. Like, people DM me and all the time. Like, I'm a person. I'm not, you know, I'm just a human. And so to allow people to want to support me and see where I'm coming from, I think it's just because I share so much of who I am, so authentic online. And
that's what people gravitate to.
And that's the thing. And so it's fun. Like, I've been at gas stations. I've been at Walmart. Women come up to me and they be like, excuse me, are you Racheal Shantel? I'm like, yeah, that's me. They be like, oh my gosh. And then we'll start talking. They be like, I'm so appreciative that you were so honest online. I can't do that. I'm like, but what makes you feel like you can't? Like,
what do they say?
You know, they just sit there and they look, and I'm like, you can, you know, and so we just hold that conversation. They're like, oh my gosh, I don't have someone like that in my life. I said, well, change your environment.
Wow.
We make it so hard on ourselves.
It seems like the hardest thing for people to be is themselves.
Yes, yes.
That should be the easiest thing.
Yes. And so I'm so appreciative that I have such a strong support system that has allowed me to be me. Now, it ain't always been easy being greasy, but I will say I've always stayed to who I am through the good, bad, and definitely the ugly. And just taking ownership and my accountability for me being who I am and seeing how to grow from my mistakes. You know, I just turned 30 at the beginning of this year. So
30 where? 30 who?
And I'm so proud of that, to be at this mindset at a young age. But, you know, I just try to encourage any and everybody to get out of that box. Like, don't let society put their agenda on you. Whatever you want to do it, man. Like, it don't take a lot. Just try. You don't know, just try. And that's what I'm doing. I just tried. Yes. And I won't give up, because I'm hungry.
I know that's the best way to be.
Yes.
Something important you said is that you engage with your audience online, and people don't realize that is extremely important, the engagement factor. That's going to help you with that algorithm on top of everything else. So I'm so glad that you mentioned that. But like I said, one of the hardest things for people is to be themselves in a world full of trends, especially on social media. Are you working with sponsors right now?
So I do have a few sponsors. I have a clothing sponsor. I have, oh my gosh.
And how did that come about? Organically, or did they approach you?
Organically. So before I became this social media presence, I used to do flea markets. I had my own handbag and backpack business. And so I would do pop-ups and flea markets, and anybody in that community would tell you, or thank God, I would be a reliable vendor to come to their events, and just worked on my professionalism. And I mean, I got very serious. I took myself, that's the thing. I take myself serious. And I don't care if you don't take me serious. I take myself serious. And so even though we're at these pop-ups or these flea markets, my mom and my dad and my uncle and his girlfriend, my family supported me. I would told them they didn't really have a choice. You know, they really didn't. You know, if you know me, I don't really take a no for an answer. But I would have shirts made for us. I had just the professionalism to let you know that, hey, I'm taking this opportunity serious, because anybody who will come to a flea market or a pop-up, they're looking to support somebody. I just need to give you the reason to support me, to buy from me. And so that kind of reputation through that community, it would get to a point where people who would host events would call me and be like, hey, can you do my event? And I'm like, all right, well, how much is the vendor fee? I'd be like, $100. I'm like, I'll do it for $60. You know, so because you want me there. So now I've learned how to negotiate. So I'm like, okay. So from there, in that community and just building those relationships, it developed. So when I end up popping on this social media platform, those same ladies and those same people will reach back out to me and be like, can you help me with my business? Absolutely. And see, a lot of stuff that I do and still do, I don't charge people, man, because I come from that. I know you don't have the money. I know that everything is not about money. It's the opportunity, because you never know who you're going to meet, where it's going to take you, and how it's going to help you. You don't know. And to me, knowledge and experience is shucks. I mean, that's more money than Jeff Bezos got to me,
and you've been getting a lot of experience from what you've been saying. Like, you've been on the grind and really honing in on your craft.
Yes, because I don't charge people anything. I just want the opportunity. Now, if it's like a business that I know has money, you're going to have to cough
I'm about to say, that may change, Racheal Shantel.
But I'm a person that really believes in teamwork. I'm in a lot of rooms where I am the only minority in so many different ways, and I look and I see how the Hispanics and the Asians and the Caucasians, they help each other, and they bring mindsets, and they collaborate, and they develop, and they build together, and then they have their own individual things. And I'm like, man. So I'm at a place where I take these learnings and I want to bring them back to my community. And you know what I met with? She's arrogant. She thinks she knows it all. She don't want to. And I'm like, where is this mindset coming from? And for a while, that was very hurtful, because I would take it personal. But after growth and after learning things, you find the people and you let it attract, You can't force it,
Yeah.
That's the thing. And it goes back to people not being comfortable to be themselves. Mm-hmm. But I know who I am, and I love who I am. Now, it hasn't always been that way for me, but you're looking at a living testimony of what not giving up on yourself looks like.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just, I know that was a very long-winded answer.
I love it. I love it. And it's all about communication, too, because you're going to be in different rooms with all different types of people. And you're going to have to understand. You're going to have to listen. Listening is so important. I do more listening than talking these days.
Oh, my gosh. Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Because, like I said, you never know who you're in the room with, what type of agenda they have, what they're already putting some of their insecurities out on you. And if you just sit there and evaluate the situation, okay, I know how I'm going to, go in on this conversation, right?
Yes.
So communication is key. But let's back up a little bit. We didn't even start at the beginning. You're from Collierville?
Yes.
Collierville.
Yes.
Tell me about growing up in Collierville.
Right. So when I grew up, we were not what you see today. That was 20 years ago.
This was like the rural.
Yes, it was still the country. I remember being in 7th grade when we officially went from a town of Collierville to the city, because we hit the threshold for the population change. I remember that.
What was the threshold? You had to be.
It went from, was it 50,000 moms to 70? The threshold. Every few years, the state of Tennessee changes how they do the population index just to keep up with the times. But I don't exactly remember the number. I just remember our teacher pointing it out to us, and we were able to have cupcakes at school for it, and it was like a celebration. And so I thought that was really cool at that time, because, we ain't had no work to do. So I just thought that was awesome. And, yeah.
So you've seen the changes.
Yes, and it was the country. I remember being able to ride my bike around Collierville, go hang out with my friends. And at that time, I think anywhere in the country, I think anybody can relate to what I'm saying. Back then, you could know where everybody was, because all the bikes was in front of somebody's yard, and you had to be home before the street lights came on. Like, I really hate that kids nowadays don't have that experience.
No.
Drinking out of the garden hose and waiting for the hot water to come out before you hit, I really enjoyed my childhood in that aspect.
Okay. And to think about it, like, you've really seen your neighborhood develop.
Yes.
And when you're in a city and that city is developing before your eyes, that comes with a lot of pros and cons. Like, has it affected you in any way as you grew up?
Yeah, absolutely. In Collierville, I come from a very change-making family out there. My grandfather was the first black politician, bus driver, business owner. My dad is the first black battalion chief in Collierville. So I come from a lot of first blacks in Collierville. I'm very proud to have that as a part of my history there. So, but when I leave out of Collierville, I'm another black woman. All of that doesn't matter. And so to understand that dynamic for me lets me know at that time that reputation and relationships really matter a lot. I learned that at a very young age. And so now going into Collierville, in certain places and certain things, when people hear the last name Walker, they be like, "Oh, are you related to?" I'm like, "Yep, I am."
That's my daddy. That's my grandpa.
You know, and it's cool to like be able to drop that type because it comes with that. So yeah.
Wow. You know, I've like I told you, we working on episode 300 coming up. I think you're 295-ish, something like that.
I take it. I take it.
But I've had very few people, I would say a handful, that have graduated. Did you graduate from Collierville High School?
I did.
And what was the young Racheal Shantel into back then? I'm talking about the young Racheal.
Okay.
Because I'm sure it still exists and exudes in you today.
Yes, that's the creative part. That's what you see. Back then, I'm still that person. If I tell my mom real quick, hey, I think I want to try batons, we gonna do that. If I wanted to try whatever I wanted to try, they let me try. They let me explore. But the thing about it was I couldn't explore for one moment. I had to stick to it for a while, you know. But the younger Racheal, I did color guard. I was the captain of my team for 2 years in high school. I played softball for 15 years.
Okay. Did you enjoy softball?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why these legs are built the way they are.
Okay. Now see, I'm not a softball player. I probably played, but not on just like on an actual organized team. I was a volleyball player, and volleyball always intervened with softball.
Yes.
So I didn't get a chance to play, but it like the girls that did play softball, they loved it.
Yes, I loved it. So it's funny you say that. I tried to do track. And it always interfered with the times, but I remember trying to do the short sprinting, and I ended up hitting it for like 23 seconds or whatever. And I remember my dad come and pick up me and my neighbor at the time, and he was like, "How's your time?" I'm like, "I did 23 seconds." He was like, "Girl, that's slow." I'm like,
"Oh, that was slow. That was slow."
Like,
in like 100 meter.
Yeah, it was like 100 meter. Like it was really slow, but I didn't know because in softball, like it's completely different, like the way we run and stuff. So. I let that go. I went back to what I was good
at.
I'm
good. I tried it.
Right.
I tried it. Wow. Okay. So what happened after you graduated Collierville High School?
So I went off to school. I went to UT Chat for 2 semesters there. My first study was, oh gosh, I haven't thought about this in a minute. My first study was coding. It was software coding. And I thought that was pretty cool, but I just did not have, I was smart enough to do it. I just didn't have a passion for it. It was just like, it was boring.
I was about to say kind of boring.
It was extremely boring. And so I had a roommate, and we was watching DIY at the time, and it was like a show of interior design makeover. And I was like, man, now that's something I wish I could do in school.
Creative side.
Girl, and it would pop, and I just be like, I wish I could do that. And she was like, girl, you can. It's called interior design. You done taught me some. So immediately the next day, that following Monday, I went and changed my degree over, my concentration in studies over to interior design. And so I was at Chat, and the accreditation at that time, you did not get a certification from the state of Tennessee through that program at this school. So I ended up transferring to Middle Tennessee because you got that, you know, and just trying to make sure I got the bang for my buck at that time. That's one thing I will say that, and I really hate this because I hate giving my dad his credit because he'll never be quiet about it. But they really instilled in me that, you know, people can't take your education from you. They can take everything else, but they cannot take away your education. You know, and being in school, middle school and high school, coming home, I would even elementary. My dad be like, people on TV got their degrees. People on TV got their stuff. What's your stuff? You know, I'd be like, dang.
Come on, Daddy.
You know,
come on, Daddy.
He ain't play.
He planted a seed early.
He did. He most definitely did. He most definitely planted work ethic in me, and hard work will get you where you want to be in life, you know. You know, he's a good person. So, anyways, it's cringe to say Daddy. That. But yeah, Black fathers matter. So,
yes, they do. Wow. So you transferred from UT Chat to MTSU. Yes. How was the transition for you?
So that was my sophomore year. And I ended up trying to make friends, and I joined this organization called AK Psi's Alpha Phi Professional Business Fraternity, and it was a co-ed. And so I'm so grateful for that opportunity because it taught me professionalism and how to stand on my feet and just deal with the not in a negative way, but just the pettiness or just the work ethic. I mean, this ain't work. It was petty. I was dealing with a lot of haters. I was a new girl on the campus.
That's how it
You
go.
know what I'm saying?
Who is she?
Right. And it was just, it brought attention in the wrong way for me. But, you know, I'm not a person to go out of my way. I've always been a me for me. Like, I was the kid in high school that could sit with the jocks or sit with the gothics or the gays and stuff and be good in every neighborhood. Like, no one had a problem because that's just who I was, you know. And so, yeah, joined that and ended up graduating. Well, yeah, I graduated with my interior design degree. I was working at Home Depot at the time. I was doing the pro desk and I was doing the regular desk, which is dealing with the public and the contractors, because you can come into Home Depot and buy stuff from there. And so when I graduated my first degree, I would have been making the same salary as a general manager at McDonald's in 2016. I did not just go to schooling to make $40,000. Like, this is crazy. So I was complaining to one of my regulars, and he was like, girl, you need to do construction. Like, your mind is good enough to do construction. I'm like, well, what is that? So he explains it to me. I go back to school. I meet this man named Dr. Thomas Gorley, the best mentor I have had. Like, God has really, now that I look at my journey, God be knowing what he doing.
Yes, he does.
You know, like, he be knowing. He put the right people in at that time. You just don't know.
Wow.
But starting with that, told him what I had going on with interior design, and I was able to test out of some classes, and he was able to get some credits for me. And he looked at me, and I will never forget. He said, your journey's not going to be easy. You smart enough, and I see it. You like a dog. You bite down, you ain't going to let go. And, you know, from an older white man who's making millions because he was a consultant and everything else that he has going on, that really, he saw me. Like, he saw me, you know. And he said, don't ever let someone try to tell you that you can't do it. And he was like, you young, you black in this field, it's going to be rough. But,
oh, yeah.
you know, you strong. And so I went and got my commercial construction management degree.
That, first of all, let's pause for the commercial construction management degree, because I don't hear a lot of women talk about this type of degree.
Yes.
Now, what does that curriculum look like, Racheal?
Oh, my gosh. So let me start with the fun part. You get so many different classes that deal with the management side of just managing people, and then managing projects, and then you have estimating, you have vendoring. There's just so many different parts, so you can figure out your niche in this system. And then there's concrete. Concrete is its own monster.
Concrete is its own.
Yes, because there's so many different types of concrete that you can have. So that was a part of this program. At the time that I was in schooling, now it's all one. Back when I was in school, commercial construction management and the concrete program was two separate entities. But when you get into real world, they're entangled into each other. You can't have concrete without, like, you just can't. So they restructured the program while I was going through school. So as well as you have architects, and then you have engineering too. And so when the difference between that is being able to know where the loads in buildings are. So you have to deal with the acts of God. So you got to deal with wind, rain, floods, earthquakes, and you got to understand how to have a building sustain that, even if it's able to sustain it or be able to move with the acts of God. And so that's what an architect does, and that's what engineering is. And so there is math classes like stats is what it's called, and statistics, and that where you have to figure out these formulas, I guess you can say, or just formula problems. And so at that time, I'm really good with numbers. That's what I do. I'm a construction estimator currently. I've been really good with numbers. Like, numbers don't lie. And in this field, I never forgot Dr. Gormley said, find something that you can control, you know. And so anyways, in that program, that's the difference between an architect and an engineer. An architect is a person who makes the drawings of what the building's going to look like and the aesthetics of it. An interior designer worries about the wayfinding through. You ever been into a building and you couldn't figure out how to get to elevators? That's poor design. You ever been inside of a house where you be like, oh, you go through a mud room or a hallway or a foyer, and then you go into a living room, and you ever thought about, well, how do you go through this? how do you go through a hallway to the living room and then the kitchen? Why is it like that? That's interior design, the wayfinding through a building. And so an engineer, they worry about what I was just saying, the acts of God, and making sure that whatever the architect designs, it can actually sustain for a very long time. And so now you have a construction manager, and there's so many different types. There's superintendents, there's general contractors. Like it's a pretty interesting area. I live in the details. Is this too much?
No, I am soaking it in. And
Okay.
you know why, Racheal? Because I have some podcasters that do a podcast called The Building Beat.
Oh, okay.
They work for the city of Memphis.
Yeah.
And that's what they do.
Okay.
And I'm always intrigued when I listen to their episodes because they talk a lot about what you're talking about now.
Oh, it's a fun field to watch something go from a drawing over to seeing it as a building, and then to see the people actually move in and use it and know that you helped out. It's an amazing thing. So that's what construction management is. And then there's other parts, which is where I'm moving towards, which is the planning part of the cities and understanding that, because you ever thought about, well, why is there a hospital right here? Why is there a grocery store right here?
So urban planning.
That's urban planning.
Yes.
And so now it's at the very beginning before you even bring in an architect. And so like me, I have to be a one-stop shop because I'm a young Black woman, and there's just so many obstacles intentionally put into, it's just America. It's a complicated city, a country, and it's okay to understand. I try to tell people, yes, racism exists, sexism, every ism, yes, it does exist, but don't use it as an excuse. Don't do that. I was born in the 90s. I don't know what segregation looked like. I don't know, because there was people who came before me to allow me to be able to be who I am. So I'm going to use my Black privilege.
Come on.
You know, so if you want to put a wall right there, I'm going to climb over it. You want to
Right.
put a door there, I'm coming through the window.
Yes.
Because when there's a will, there's a way.
Always. I love the positivity.
yes,
I love
ma'am.
your energy, Racheal Shantel. And, you know, just listening to you talk, I'm hearing a new term, wayfinding, and I've learned concrete matters.
Yes.
I think it's amazing, the field that you're in. And I'm sure it comes with a lot of hurdles, because anytime you say construction, I'm thinking male-dominated industry.
Oh, yeah.
Am I correct?
Yes. They do not like to see me come.
That's what I thought. What type of, challenges and double standards come with that role?
Oh, yeah. I'm constantly always told that I'm aggressive, that I'm pushy. And, you know, this is why I try to tell a lot of people who will listen to me, your vocabulary matters. Words matter. So I'm going to need y'all to pick up a book and read. I'm going to really need y'all to learn vocabulary. So when people want to try to put you in a box because of their perspective, you're going to need to be able to defend yourself and advocate for yourself in a very good way, because I'm not aggressive. I'm determined. I am ambitious. I have a passion. And I know what I'm doing. I'm here off of merit, not because of my dad buddy owned a construction company and they just hired me because I'm a pretty girl.
You're not a DEI hire.
At all. Like, I had to work to be where I am today. I had to do those things, and I had to prove to myself that I could do it, because of constantly telling me that, you know, as a woman or a Black person, that we're not able to do that. But guess who built the White House back in the 1800s? Oh, okay. Well, you know, you gotta know. So,
And it's still around.
and it's still around. Like, these things exist and are not going anywhere. And so I just need more young people to realize you cannot change what this. We're seeing it change right now. We're seeing these systems fall apart.
Oh, yeah.
Right now, and it's a
year of
lovely
exposure.
thing. You know, I love it, but you can't focus on that. You cannot. We cannot change that. Some people just don't want us here. That's fine. I don't care, because like I said, what can you do that I cannot? I'll
Okay.
wait for someone to answer that, because there's nothing that you cannot do that I cannot. You know, that's fine. You don't sit here. I cannot go inside of a grocery store because I'm a Black person anymore. No, I can go in there. And if I run into someone who has a bad attitude, that's because they have a bad attitude. Now I can just control who I am. Like, we got to stop trying to tell other people how to hold our triggers. Like, we got to stop doing that, man. Like,
Yeah.
you know, so I'm sorry. I went into a tangent.
That's okay. I'm here for it because I think all of your experiences, I think you're so passionate about, you know, the journey that you're on right now. Like you said,
am.
and this year is such a year of unprecedented events.
Yes. Yes.
Just from the Rudy to the Tootie.
Yes.
But what I do want to know from you is, how has your background, how has your experience, UT Chat, Middle Tennessee State, interior design in the construction field, how have you been able to use your experiences from all of that to transition into finding Mane Up Memphis nonprofit? Because I'm sure it has been a journey even into getting into this nonprofit sector.
Absolutely. I have never wanted a nonprofit. Let me tell you that right now.
Okay, but we in there.
We here now. I have never wanted, I've never even thought about anything like that. I just have not. So I'm in schooling. I graduate with my master's in urban city and regional planning. And what that is a concentration on policies that we focus in on: financial literacy, education, poverty, health, and so many different categories. And one thing about this is why I tell people, please read, because I would never forget in one of my books, and it was very hard. There's so many books that says this, is that the Black community is a lab rat on what to not do inside of a community.
That's sad.
You know, but this is the truth.
Yeah.
This is the absolute truth. And it's not like I'm making this up. These are in books. In so many different aspects through history, we can see that our community has been the lab rat for so many things in medical and in construction and inside of education. It is, because we're God's people. We were chosen by God. We are literally made in the image of Him. That's why it's so easy for us to make sure we have to watch what we say, because anything that we do, you can create. We create storms. We do it all,
just
like God. And so I say that to say, in my classes, I started to get so fed up that I started to feel hopeless. And as you can tell, I am not a person to feel hopeless. I cannot feel like I can't do something. And I just had to do something. And so I put this event together back in May, and had no idea May was the month of mental health. I had no idea. But from when I was reading these classes, it's like, all right, the common denominator is education. Because if you don't know something, then you just don't know. But if you do, you can do something about it. But we have so many obstacles within our community, Black and browns, you know, and I'm not saying anything against whites, but I've never seen white people come to Black people for help. I've never seen that. I'm not saying that they don't. It's just they help each other. Like, they build up each other. It's us that needs the guidance. And so during that time, I was like, all right, before you can educate yourself, you got to be able to mentally sustain and understand what it is for clarity. And so I put this together. I found sponsors that took on the monetary burden of putting healthcare professionals, psychiatrists, counselors in front of the community. And we went through 3 different stations. And first one was just the foundations of what mental health is, what it looks like, how to identify it. The second part was the stigmas and misconceptions behind it. You know, within our community, we always be like, man, you don't need therapists, you just talk to God, you know? Okay, that's cool. And then the third part is coping mechanisms. We all got triggers. We all gonna have stress, but even in those moments, how can you walk back to be who you want to be? Like, how can you de-escalate these situations? And so from that, I had such a great result from it that schools wanted me to come and take this program, which wasn't even a program. It was just a one-time thing in my head, and bring it to them. And I was like, okay, well, that ain't no, you know, help the kids. Well, to be able to do that, you got to be a vendor. Be able to be a vendor, you had to have an EIN. To have that, then it's a nonprofit. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, God, what are you doing?
Okay.
And so from there,
building a foundation.
and that's what it was. But now I understand my journey to getting to where it was, because as you see, I'm a person, I've always asked God to do 3 things in my life. And that was to be able to help people, have an extraordinary life, and be able to enjoy my family and friends. And I don't care what it looks like or how it's going to look, as long as I get to be able to do those 3 things. And I started this nonprofit, and by the grace of God, people have been coming to me and wanting to be a part of it. And so that's where we are. So now we got Mane Up Memphis.
Wait a minute. So you mean to tell me you had an event in May, and it popped off, all the schools wanted you to come and really institute a curriculum at their schools, programming.
Yes.
And now we're a whole business owner.
Yes. But
Of a nonprofit.
Of a nonprofit. And it's great because as my journey, every business that I had, because my parents would tell you, I've been trying to figure out how to be an entrepreneur and be able to live on my own terms since I was probably 12. I started off with nails, and I did the hair, and then I done did so much. I done did so many different things, just trying to figure out what works for me, because if you don't try, you don't know. I mean, I've done it all, like just trying to figure out.
Yes.
And so, but from every business that I have had, I've learned something. So to get me to this point of this nonprofit, it was like, oh my gosh, this is where I'm supposed to be. Like, and it makes sense. Yeah. It just makes sense now.
Wow. Okay, I'm loving it. How did you come up with the name Mane Up Memphis?
Yes.
You saw Memphis.
So at the time, I was like, I wanted something to be really creative. I wanted it to just be something that Memphians can relate to. Because at the end of the day, we got to be relatable. Like, a community is just based off of seeing each other for who we are. And what is something that Memphians all say, no matter what their color is? Mane up. And then on top of that, Mane up can be a woman, or it's just like John. It could be a place, person, or thing. You know, it was just like, what can we say?
Y'all was saying Maine and Collierville back in the day.
Oh yeah, they did.
Maine is in this area.
Maine is there. They most definitely were. Yes.
Mama and Daddy was saying Maine.
Absolutely not. They can't stand it. Absolutely not.
But we could definitely relate to Mane Up Memphis, and this is what I want to know, Racheal. How do you measure the impact of your initiatives of the Memphis community, especially among youth and families, with your nonprofit right now?
I love that question. So it's based off of when people want to tell me their testimony, and to hear them going through their storms and seeing that, you know, I'm inspiring them to not give up, you know. I think that's it. When I had
you making an impact when you hear them stories.
I had a lady who I went on live at 9 to promote the event, and so grateful for that opportunity. Miss Kanji is so beautiful and so kind. That, oh my gosh, just grace all over her.
She's a gem,
you know. And this lady came to the event, and she was older, probably in her late 70s, early 80s, and she said, I saw you on the news, and I knew that this would be an event, and I really needed help with grief. I had so many deaths in my family back to back, I don't know what to do. So moments like that, I just broke out in tears, because that's what it's about, helping each other and just helping us get through it.
Yes. Wow. Okay. Business owner, creative, and you are Miss Black Tennessee.
Yes.
Now, where that came from, Racheal? I mean, I totally believe you. Like I said, you are gorgeous. After talking with you for 30 plus minutes, you are highly intelligent.
Thank you.
You got that grit. You got that Memphis grit and grind in you.
Oh yeah, I don't play.
So tell me, how did Miss Black Tennessee come about?
Believe it or not, okay, so there was two things. I have nieces, and my nieces are my little hearts. And at the time that I did this, you know, we all have moments of doubt and insecurities and not feeling confident in ourselves. And, you know, I had my own concerns with body image and just being able to be who I am. So, like I said, when I was younger, my parents let me try any and everything, right? And being in Collierville, I was the only black girl on the team and stuff. So I was always not built like a white woman. And I felt it. And I did modeling, and I made it all the way out to LA for a competition in it. And I will always be the first runner up. And so me being who I am, I always want to be better the next time. And so I went to the judge and I asked her and said, hey, what can I do to win next time? And she shut me down. You would never, this is like 2008, 2009.
What'd she say?
She said, you would never win. You have a better opportunity being a video vixen. Now, you know, back then, this is when Superhead was at her highest.
What?
You know?
So that was all about race.
It was all about race.
Okay.
And so, you know, I'm 12 and you're telling me that. And so I don't even know what a video vixen is. And so now you have me sitting here trying to figure this out.
What is this video vixen thing?
Know?
Why is she telling me this?
You know, and so now it's starting to mess with my confidence in who I am and my body image. So I struggled for a very long time in that sense of manner. And so now I have my nieces at the time, and, you know, talking to them and trying to inspire them to love who they are. It's hard. How can I inspire you when I don't really truly love what I see in the mirror, you know? And so it's like, okay, what can I do to encourage that for you to feel confident in who you are. And going on Instagram, it came across where you had to do a sign up in an interview, and I did it, and I won.
Girl, like that.
So I completely healed the childhood Racheal, as well as watching my niece be so proud to see that crown on my head.
Now, wait a minute. Racheal, Miss Black Tennessee is an extremely competitive pageant. I want you to tell me about the experience of competing for Miss Black Tennessee. Like, what were the categories?
Yeah.
Tell me about some of the highlights, the challenges, the best parts.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's
So
get into it.
the categories is gown, body image. They change it from bathing suits, so it's just fitness now. It's fitness, as well as on stage interview, personal interview, and then a talent. And so my talent, as you can probably guess, is speaking, public speaking. I'm not a dancer, I'm not a singer, I'm not any of that. So I think that really helped me.
What did you speak about?
I'm so happy that you asked on how to stay calm, how to do strategic and critical thinking and high stress levels.
So you got up there and did a TED Talk at the pageant.
I literally did.
Yes.
I did a TED Talk, absolutely.
Okay, and wowed them.
Yes, and I did it in 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Come on.
And that was just amazing on that part. My gown was, and that was the other thing, the evening gown. And I ended up, I ended up getting it off of Fashion Nova at the last minute, but it's just more of the poise and how your walk and your confidence is. And so they really enjoyed that, as well as your grace. You have to be able to walk across the floor without, it's just like fashion models on the runway. You want to be more of the model of the dress, not so much about you and trying to throw your hips or move your arms. And it's like, no, don't make flamboyant movement. Just be grace and elegant. Think of Michelle Obama y'all think of Michelle Obama when she was taken in the White House with Obama, and how she was able to support her man. That type of grace is what they like to see.
Okay.
And then there was the interview questions and the personality. That's what it's actually, personality. And so, of course, when they got to asking me some of the questions in there, which was, because I talked about Memphis so much, they said, you're talking about Memphis so much, what are you going to do for the actual state of Tennessee? I said, well, I love the state of Tennessee. I've lived in Memphis, Murfreesboro, Nashville, Chattanooga. I've lived all over the state. I love my state. But to make true impact, you got to start with ground zero. And my home base is Memphis. So I got to start here and move out from there. And so one of the other questions they asked me was, well, why do you want to be crowned? And I'm like, it's not so much about the crowning, because they gave us little crowns to wear during our community service. And like, that was the other thing. You had to do community service hours. And you're right, it was a lot. But as you go through life, you kind of take things moment for moment and meet it at that moment. I did my best at the moment that I was in. And so when you do community service, you have your sash and you have your crown to wear too. So I told them, I was like, you've already given me a crown. I've already won to my niece. I've already done what I needed to do. I said, so even if I'm not crowned, I'm good. Like, I've proven to myself that I am beautiful. Like, I've given myself that love. I've healed that 12-year-old Racheal. Like, I'm good. Like, and I think that just transpired, because after that, they didn't know what else to say to that.
You stole the show.
And I'm just being myself, And so the other one was fitness. And I'm as you can tell, I do work out. That's a part of me. I had to, through mental health, one of the coping mechanisms is energy. You do not create it. You cannot destroy it. You can only transfer it. So where does it go? You have to have something that's positive. I'm not a drinker. I'm not a smoker. I'm none of those things. And, a lot of times people drink and smoke to have it as a way to bring down their anxiety and bring down their depression, to be able to cope with it. And so now when you don't have those things, you gotta sit in those emotions. And it's so hard to do. But I promise y'all, when y'all figure that out, life and clarity will come to you. Just pray, write, journal, figure out something that is outside of putting something inside of your body. I promise y'all.
So the working out helps with that.
Absolutely.
That big stress reliever.
I have to get it out in some type of way, because, you know, you learn how to stay positive. Like right now in life, I choose to be peaceful over chaos. Like that's the thing, and choosing to be wise over reactions, and just making sure, because like I say, you can only control how you act towards something. I can't control what someone else does. So that's one of the things. And so it showed through the fitness, you know, and that was the easiest thing.
So how did that category work though? Like you're coming out in your cute fitness outfit and doing something. How did that category work?
Yes. So they allowed this. So you think of a figure 8. And so all of this was virtual, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, everything that we did was virtually. I think that this year it'd be back in person. These are just still the rules from the pandemic. But you would have to do it in a figure 8. And so as I was going through, and I would hit like the bottom left side of the figure 8, that was the other thing. You had to record yourself. So I had 2 cameras set up. Think of one being at 12 o'clock and the other one at 6 o'clock. And so when I got to certain points, and this is what content creation is, you got to think through things, guys. You got to plan and strategize what you want your vision to look like and how you want it to look, and just be thoughtful and mindful of it. And so as I did this figure 8 and I hit the bottom left-hand corner, I would literally be like, I would like do an arm moment where I'll show up and flex my little arm. And then when I go to the other side of the figure 8, I would do the other arm. And as I was walking through, I'll be able to like jump a little bit, because it's fitness. It's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to show your personality. And I'm proud. I'm proud to be a advocate of what physical health look like, right? Because it's still mental health. It still cares about who you are. And so just showing that and being able to hit those figures. And then I had the 2 different cameras set up. So when I sat down and edited, it'll hit in different ways. And it was just, I think that was the other reason that I was able to gain more points, is because I thought about my camera positions and having those different types of angles. And I wish I had my phone so I could show you my TED Talk, because girl, it was on it. And that's so funny you said that, because that's literally what I did. I was like, I want my talent to look like a TED Talk, because that's something I want to do one day, is a TED Talk.
You're going to do it either this year or next year.
I think
they've had the 2 TEDx events already this year.
Yes.
But I'll keep you posted.
Yes,
for next
I did
year.
apply. I'm going to apply again. So from your mouth to God to my blessings.
Wow, you are absolutely amazing, Racheal Shantel. And any help you need from me and the brand, we down for you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now we're gonna jump into a segment that I like to call "Amen, Say Mane," and you're very familiar with the Mane, so I want you to repeat after me, Racheal Shantel. Amen, say mine.
Amen, say mine.
Come on, Collierville. Amen, say mine. Okay, so this is a moment of transparency between you and I. And like I said, when we first got in the studio, we kind of talked about this just a little bit. We didn't go in. I didn't hear your thoughts on this. But as you know, VP, Kamala Harris, she is running for president of the United States. She is the Democratic nominee, and I believe the Democratic National Convention is starting very soon, but I think they've already given her that title, right, as the official nominee.
Right.
Well, she had a rally in Atlanta on yesterday, and Meg the Stallion performed. You know how Meg gives it. Are you a Meg the Stallion fan?
Yeah, I am.
Can you twerk like Meg?
Absolutely not.
No! Can you dance, Racheal?
I can.
But
I
you
can't
don't be doing the twerk.
Baby, I ain't got them doggone vibranium knees.
Oh, God. Meg's knees are just otherworldly, right?
Yes.
But Kamala, because you know she got a team, they chose Meg the Stallion to perform at her rally, and you know she made references to Quavo as well in her speech, and I really felt like she was trying to appeal to that particular demo, because that is a demo that don't vote a lot. But these are my thoughts. I want to know your thoughts. Was it a good choice for VP Kamala Harris to have Meg the Stallion at that rally in Atlanta? And how do you feel that she can appeal to that particular demo? I want to say Generation Z.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually watched it live last night.
Oh, you
YouTube.
watched it live?
I did.
Girl, I was at an event. I missed it. Everybody was texting me. Did you see that?
Yes, it was awesome. And I like how she was able to be able to entangle the culture into her mission and her purpose, and just showing she's really right now the symbol of what coming together looks like, and just trying to rally and do all those things. So to answer your question about Megan being there, I think it had more to do with what Megan does outside of music. She's already a humanitarian out there in Houston and doing those things, and she's always encouraging women in general in so many different ways. So I think it was a very smart move to have Megan there. Now, the dancing and stuff, you got to think that's her music. And then she did all her hits that's well known. So the crowd is mixed of all types of people. So they may not know who Megan Thee Stallion is, but I'm pretty sure they know what Savage is, because Beyonce's on it, you know.
I'm a savage.
You know, and so she did the songs that she knows, you know. And I also like how she was able to bring in Quavo, Walk It Like You Talk It, and be able to just go in between the two. So yeah, she's doing her thing. And coming from a actual content creator mindset,
yes,
that was a 1 hour, like an hour and 20 minutes long. But you know how life works. Social media is 30 seconds, 5 seconds, 6 seconds. And guess what's going to get caught? The entertainment, the actual rappers, that. So it made sense to why she chose who she chose, because now when you see it on social media, all day I ain't seeing nothing but Megan at this event. And her name's getting tied to it. Or it's Quavo with Walk It Like I Talk It was another big song. So it's smart. I ain't mad at her. That's how you do it.
Yeah. You think she's going to fare well against Trump?
I think when there's a will, there's a way. And right now, yeah, she's doing what she's doing. I think, you know, her and Michelle Obama have a really good relationship. And last night I was waiting for her to say some type of petty comment back. Not saying that she's petty, or just take a jab because you can, like a cheap shot. She ain't do it. And the only thing that came back to my mind was, when they go low, you go high. And the only thing she said was, he out here saying a lot of weird things, right? And moved on. Like, I was like, girl, that's some grace. I'm trying to get to that point in life.
She said last night, say it to my face.
Yes.
Okay, and okay, that's what he needs to do.
And that's it. And she was like, have my friend Quavo walks it like a toxic. Hey, I love it. You know, you get to a point where, and I didn't know that her husband was white until she started running. I had no idea.
And Jewish.
I had no idea. So to see how so many white men are coming out to support
they
her.
Had white dudes for Kamala call.
Yes.
Every ethnicity is having a call for Kamala. I love it.
It was like dudes for Kamala or something like that, and they raised 4 to 5
white dudes for Kamala.
Yes, this is why I love TikTok. TikTok teaches you so
I love TikTok
much,
too.
girl. I am.
I gotta add you on TikTok.
Yes, I love me some TikTok. Now I'm not active in making content for it just yet, but I use TikTok like it is an encyclopedia. Like, I'm not playing no games. And to see how this white guy came on and said that he was able to raise $4 to $5 million on a call from just that community backing them up, and how Elon Musk was able to take them down off of Twitter, and then he came over to TikTok, and I think they raised like another $2 million from it.
The money rolling in.
I am proud of her. That's how you do it, because when there's a will, there's a way. And I'm happy because she's giving so many. Okay, so this is just my bias right now. Like, you know, so many, when you think of other ethnicities and nationalities of women, you think of the best and the highest of them. And so, but with black women, we are the most, and this is what Malcolm X and Denzel Washington, so these aren't my words, but you know, we are the most disrespected and just the most disregarded a race of women in general.
At the bottom.
And we're all not like that. And I'm not putting down nobody. Understand? I'm not putting down anybody. But there's not one version of a black woman. There's not. And so the one version of a black woman, the Jezebel or the aggressive and those types, okay, they do exist, and that's fine. But what about the ones who are out here trying to make a way and be elegant and show that, you know, education is cool too? Where are those women? Show those women. And so President Harris is doing that. That's what she's doing. And I'm so happy. And,
so graceful.
You know, and that's why I really like the event that you did. Like those are, we are out here, and it's time for us to have a narrative too. It's time for that. And it's cool. And I am such a person, because I'm 30. I love to, now I can twerk, I can throw down there. I just don't twerk like Megan. Don't get me messed up. Like,
you ain't got them egg knees.
You know, but baby girl can throw it back. Now don't get me wrong. Big mama, I got that. And so I just want to be able to live in duality too. Like everybody, I want to be able to exist and be who Racheal Shantel is, and be able to sit here and go out and have a good time with my friends and have a ratchet time. But when it comes to Monday morning, I'm gonna handle this business. You know what I'm saying? I should be able to live in duality too, just like the rest of everybody else. So let us be that.
I love it. I love it. And I love the fact that you are sitting in front of me telling me your story. And we need to bring the podcast to a close. But my last question to you, Racheal Shantel, is what are you most excited about in life right now?
Opportunity.
Okay.
Opportunity. That's it.
Okay.
That's all I got for y'all. If anything else, y'all don't remember anything else from me, remember this. Being love and being kind and being respectful, you can never go wrong with doing right. You can never go wrong with being right. Can't nobody love you how you love you, okay? Can't nobody treat you how you treat you. So make sure that you are the kindest, sweetest, most respectful person to yourself first. Do not allow someone else to tell you who you are. You can develop who you are. And that's all I got.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen of the Verbally Effective Podcast. She is the founder of nonprofit Mane Up Memphis. She is Miss Black Tennessee, and she handling business in the construction space. I'm talking about Racheal Shantel. Tell everybody how they can connect with you and continue to follow your journey.
Absolutely. On every platform is Racheal Shantel. It's RACHEAL_SHANTEL_. I'm the girl with the orange hair.
Thank you so much, Racheal Shantel. I enjoyed you today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, you are amazing. And thank you all out there for listening to the Verbally Effective Podcast. Your host, your double E, Ina Esco, signing off. Make sure you hit that follow, that subscribe at Verbally Effective on all platforms, and at Ina Esco YouTube channel as well. Thanks for listening.